Today, we are going to run through a handful of things that we are most excited about right now in Serum 2. It's obviously a huge leap forward from Serum 1, and there have already been a lot of folks that have shared their thoughts here on YouTube over the past few months. But this is our chance to speak directly to the things we think will have the biggest impact on how we go about producing what we make for you behind the scenes. So this isn't a hit list of sweet pro tips and hidden features that you won't find anywhere else. It is, however, a rather inspiring look ahead at what we will be covering together in future videos, highlighting capabilities that will supercharge our sound design and production around here, and how this latest upgrade from Steve Duda sets Serum 2 on an entirely new path. Because the implications of some of the changes are profound, and will have ripple effects that will help usher in new sonic realms to explore and help us continue to push against current boundaries and expectations and trends. Let's dive in. Multi-sample. Okay, so this is a huge play. Having the ability to load high-quality, multi-sampled instruments in an oscillator in Serum 2 completely flipped the synth on its head. No longer do we need to chase synthetic clones and work around the supreme limitations of the OG noise oscillator playing back a single wave file. Now we can wield audio recordings in ways that realism can take on a new meaning in this tool. But this doesn't just mean like another million pristinely sampled pianos are on the way. I think that most Serum 2 power users will want to explore the edges of resampling and make unique hybrid instruments that cannot exist in the physical world. At least not yet. Granular synthesis. All right, so this is one I'm obviously really stoked for. The new granular synth engine allows us to shatter a sound into tiny little pieces called grains and then manipulate them in ways that make conjuring new movements and textures, atmospheres, and timbres easier. Seeing this new feature being introduced as an oscillator mode opens up truly magical possibilities, especially once we start talking about how it engages with the warping capabilities, a wildly flexible modulation system, and the newly reimagined FX rack too. This instantly makes Serum an even more powerful cinematic tool, bringing otherwise impossible outcomes to your fingertips. Spectral synthesis. Another game changer. Spectral synthesis is another new oscillator mode for Serum 2. And this one allows us to see our sounds, analyze, and break them up into individual frequency components called partials. So it's a bit different than granular synthesis. And then we can manipulate those partials in a variety of unique ways. Rather than affecting the waveform directly, though, spectral editing means affecting the harmonic and inharmonic content to sculpt your sounds. And this opens doors for even more wild forms of morphing and transforming sounds in smooth and seemingly organic ways for both natural and otherworldly sounds. LFO and modulation upgrades. So we all largely work with the same notes, scales, and types of source sounds, but how we present them and how they perform over time is where the magic is. And the new modulation capabilities and improvements in Serum 2 establish an array of impressive ways in which you can engage with just about every single parameter in the synth. So whether you want to simply make a sound open up in a specific way or evolve over time, maybe create a perfect drum loop or add a dash of analog variability each time a key is pressed, or perhaps eliminate predictability entirely, the ways in which you go about making all of that happen can be just as unique as you. New dual filters. Not only did Serum 2 gain a second filter module, it also now features entirely new filter types as well. The new analog style filters make for warmer, richer sonic outcomes with more authentic saturation behaviors. The diffuser is a bit like a disperser. The acid ladder gets you that classic squelchy 303 sound pretty easily. And the PZ-SVF filter actually allows you to draw in your own unique filter shapes, similar to the custom wave shapers found in the oscillator warp tools and the effects rack. There's many others, and of course, a second filter mode also means much more robust signal routing options, too. Yay! Mixing. Okay, speaking of signal flow, the new mixer inside of Serum 2 gives a level of control the world is simply not accustomed to finding inside of a synth. Take advantage of both series and parallel processing while routing oscillators to different effects buses, mixing volume levels from a global perspective, and not affecting pre-existing modulation schemes. From here, you can make the adjustments needed to make your sounds ideal before it even hits your DAW. Wavetable upgrades. Without even touching on the new sampling and synthesis capabilities of the oscillators, the Wavetable engine itself has undergone a tremendous upgrade. With the new smooth interpolation mode, we now have near infinite frame positions within a wavetable, giving us more expressive control without the need for any additional morphing between frames. This basically just means smoother transitions and more organic evolution of sound over time when modulation is taking place. The editor redesign is also a nice level up, I think, making it a bit easier and more intuitive to find and access features. As someone who does a lot of custom wavetable work, these improvements may get the least amount of hype, but honestly, I think they deserve a lot of respect and appreciation. Warp modes. Dual warp modules on each oscillator. Yeah, this means double the warping power on every voice. Okay, so let's start with the big one. True FM synthesis is here. This is a significant difference coming from version 1. And Serum 2 also introduces a new phase distortion and the ability to now use effects rack distortion options directly inside of the oscillator warping. And perhaps one of the most overlooked and underappreciated changes here is the option to load a simple high or low pass filter in any of the warp modules. Yeah, let that one sink in for just a second. This gives you basic filter control at the oscillator level, further extending the deep filtration capabilities of this beast. Oh yeah. The new effects rack. All right, so this goes far beyond just the new rack because of the tie-ins to the mixer and the oscillator warp modes. But to try to sum this all up as quickly as possible, the new effects rack is, I think, what Serum 2 needed to further sculpt your sounds beyond all of the other options and flexibility we've already covered. Again, touching on signal flow, we've mentioned series and parallel processing, but we've also gained the ability to split our signal in a variety of ways, just to work more intentionally and creatively to achieve otherwise impossible outcomes. There we are again, that phrase again, otherwise impossible outcomes. Man, Serum 2 is just insane. Okay, so you can load as many of each effect as you like, in whatever order that you like. You can route and split the resulting signals to your heart's content and balance it all in the mixer. All this means that there is less need to process your sounds further outside of Serum 2. Before we move on, let's just quickly list the biggest new additions in the rack. Bode is a frequency shifting delay for creative stereo modulation and spectral tuning. It is super dope. Convolve is a convolution reverb for both realistic and surreal spatial effects. Here you can load factory or user impulse responses to really change up your sounds. Splitters let you target your processing based upon specific thresholds. There are 3 types. There's low-high, low mid-high, and mid-side. You can use these to isolate and affect specific portions of your sound, like just the highs or just the sides. The utility module provides additional basic filtering, stereo width control, polarity inversion, and low-end monoing. These things can help immeasurably in the mix. The Arpeggiator and MIDI clips. So to say that Serum got an Arpeggiator is nowhere near enough to cover what has been introduced melodically in Serum 2. And of course there's Clips, the new piano roll and MIDI superstar. And I think that one is actually for a bunch of future video tutorials because it's a lot to cover. Serum 2 is taking a huge turn here. It's giving us a powerful set of MIDI tools. And in addition to everything else, it's just beyond what anyone expected, honestly. Okay, so now onto the new Arpeggiator. Here you can load inspiring patterns, edit them, write your own sequences, and simply start twisting knobs and quickly transform sustained notes and chords into melodic sequences. It's kind of like magic. Expect the typical parameters like transposition, gate, and swing, but also there are more modern playback twists like offset, repeats, gate, and chants. These give you even more nuanced control over eluding listener expectations, which is nice. Voice control. I love this one. Voice control is a truly wonderful feature that allows for far more detailed manipulation of individual voices within a sound, particularly in the context of chords and polyphonic playing or triggering of sounds. On a global level, and without the need to assign any additional modulators in Serum 2, this feature is fully customizable, and it affects pan position, detuning, cutoff, voice envelopes, and more. This is an easy way to dial in subtle analog characteristics and details like small inconsistencies and various forms of parameter drift. It can also be used to create very unique voicing behaviors that really stand out in a mix. Preset browser and Serum 1 capability. Revamping the preset browser was a brilliant move, and there are a lot of good updates throughout the browsing experience. The new streamlined sound pack import process is also ace, but the big winner in a huge, free, game-changing upgrade like this is that all presets made in Serum 1 can be loaded and played in Serum 2. And with so many new and inspiring things to play with, I think we're all bound to revisit some of those old patches and bring them into this new era. Right? It's also just really nice to know that all those sound packs that we've been making and buying for the last dozen years are still fresh fuel for this new beast. We know there are a lot of great features worthy of being featured in a video like this. I have at least a couple more dozen features I want to spotlight myself. It's just not possible to fit them all in one go, especially with tools as advanced and deep as Serum 2. So please, let us know what your favorite new features and updates are in the comments below. Who knows? Your recommendation might be the reason why we dig into a specific feature or workflow in a future video. And while you're at it, please tell us what you want to learn about in our upcoming Serum 2 tutorials as well. Just in general, like what is it that you most crave? We have a lot of great topics lined up for you already, but getting you the knowledge and inspiration you crave most is what this is all about. So don't hold back. Let your voice be heard, okay? Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ding that bell. You and your support are truly appreciated, you guys. Until next time, stay inspired. Cheers.